Hello, Magnify sisters. It's Brooke Walker in the hosting seat today. So glad to be with you and to share in what I know will be a great conversation. Joining me in this episode is Celeste Mergens. Celeste is the founder of Days for Girls. It's a nonprofit that's mission is to increase access to menstrual care and education throughout the world. Celeste is a speaker who has been featured in magazines like Oprah's O magazine and Forbes, just to name a couple. She's an author, an award-winning businesswoman. The list goes on. We'll note Celeste is also a wife and mother to 6 children and 15 grandchildren, and she loves spending time with her family. In fact, she's currently serving with her husband as a mission leader in the Washington Everett mission. Part of our mission at Magnify, as you know, is to invite women to share their wisdom, their experience as a force for good in their communities and their spheres and circles of influence. And Celeste has a personal mission that you can harness your superpower through gratitude. We're going to talk about that and more today. Celeste, welcome to Magnify. It's so great to have you.
So good to be here. And can I get all of us out of trouble really quick by saying we are up to 19 grandkids now. I can't leave any of them out.
Goodness. 15 to 19, probably a short time, the way that happens with bigger families. Yeah. What do your grandkids call you, Celeste? Is there a grandma name that's attached to your title?
I am Cece.
You are Cece. Mm-hmm. Yes, so 15 to 19, we stand corrected. No one will be forgotten by Grandma Cece today. 19, that's amazing. That's a number to celebrate for sure. Well, Celeste, you're the founder, as I said, of Days for Girls, which, for those who don't know, is an amazing organization that increases access to menstrual care and education for women and for girls around the world. Can you tell us, I mean, it's a big story and a big effort to summarize, but can you tell us a bit about the backstory of Days for Girls?
Absolutely. I actually was raised in poverty, so I really want to help communities reverse cycles of poverty. Like, since I was young, I've been collecting articles and looking for ways and was actually doing a master's degree in global sustainable development. So imagine, as I helped a friend have her school thrive, I learned that girls in a school I'd been helping were using pieces of cardboard for days during their period. I was shocked. Now, what's significant about this is I didn't know this was an issue, let alone a global issue. Even though I'd experienced some of it myself, we just don't talk about this issue. And people often ask, so you're the founder? And I've often said, frankly, I'm the very good listener who shows up and keeps working. And this is why. The first time I heard that the girls and boys at the school I'd been helping when at an orphanage when we came through Kenya were going out without food for days, I understand what that feels like. So I had, once getting the call, had dropped to my knees and asked, please tell me what to do to help. I will do anything. Just tell me what to do. And no idea came to me, not even a bad idea. I kept pleading, please help me, because I understood what it's like to go without food for days as a child. And I desperately wanted to find a solution to help. That night at 2:30 in the morning, I awoke with it going through my head. Have you asked what the girls are doing for feminine hygiene? I literally gasped because I had not thought to ask that question. With all the questions I'd asked, that one had never come up.
That wasn't your question. That clearly was coming from a different source.
Absolutely. Yeah. And ran to the computer to ask and got an immediate answer. And the answer was nothing. They wait in their rooms. And it turned out they were sitting on pieces of cardboard for days, no way to leave the room, to go to class, no way to take care of their needs. And I knew that was something I wanted to help change.
I give pause and just appreciation to that point in your story where a need sent you to your knees, but it was ultimately a personal experience or a personal buy-in or passion that kind of propelled you forward. And I think so many women, we can turn on the news and see a myriad of different needs, but when you were able to personally connect and take that connection to your Heavenly Father, how you were led and guided and inspired to create what you created, and describe now what the organization has done and continues to do for these girls.
We help women and girls and communities have the needs met for menstrual care products and for education, and importantly, shatter stigma and shame that is global around menstruation. even where we live, let's be honest, there's almost anything else we would like to talk about and engage with. Thankfully, that's changing, but we've helped do that thanks to volunteers and supporters and networks and governments and organizations in 145 countries on 6 continents. And today, from that moment that I first learned about this need, from dead sleep to let's ask to over 2.4 million, 3.4 million women and girls in 145 countries.
Amazing. That's amazing. I want to ask you, and I'd like to spend a good portion of our conversation, if you're okay with it, talking about preparation. I love this question line and I love this thought line because I think even if you're, well, it's a twofold benefit as I see it. I think as we look back on how we have been prepared, how the Lord has helped us prepare for certain opportunities or influences, it puts us as the one experiencing the preparation in a place of gratitude. But I also think the second layer of that is learning about how other women were prepared, I think puts a new lens on our daily responsibilities, the little ways we're chipping away at good works and good ideas and good service. It puts this lens of like magnitude on it. Like this is amounting to something. This is adding up something good that I maybe can't see yet. So I'd love to ask you about how you feel the Lord prepared you to be ready to step up and say, hey, I want to do something about this. And if I can, I want to assert you're a listener. You're a listener, and you have to be, not just to the inspiration of the Spirit, but you've had to listen to women from all over the world who are part of very different cultures from your own, listen to their needs and find solutions that actually work for their lives. Can you think of times in your life or ways in your life you were prepared to be a listener?
Oh, so many ways. And this is going to sound cliche, but it is the hardest things I ever endured. They helped me to be best at this. Like the gifts that have come from them are just miraculous. Sorry, it's so truly huge. And when we're going through them, we don't see the miracle rising. We don't see that don't worry, this is going to turn out amazing. You can't see that. And of course, it leaves us to a choice to either have a broken heart and contrite spirit that's reaching, or to be bitter and anxious. And that's such a hard balance to understand. But I have found that it is those key moments. One of them was when I was about 5 years old. We were homeless. We would go from like state park to state park. And I was walking along a pathway. It was really warm, and I could still feel the warmth on my feet as I walked along barefoot. And a woman walked into view, and she had a half-eaten apple. And she threw that half-eaten apple into a dumpster that happened to be near us. And I followed the arc and thought, could I get in the dumpster and still get out? I just decided no. And I had that feeling on the back of my neck that someone's watching you.
Mhm.
And I looked over, and sure enough, she was doing the up and down look. And she said, "Where are your shoes, girl?" And I answered, and I replayed it through my mind so many times as a villainous moment, like that woman from Cruella de Vil, that I know what my response was. And I said, "I'm toughening my feet." In reality, honestly and truly, I didn't have shoes right then, but that's a long story. What I can say that was important is what happened next. It was like a mirror turned, and I could see what she saw when she looked at me. I could see that I was small and dirty, and that she saw a small, unworthy, dirty, poor child. And I felt that way for a moment. But then this wave of assurance came up that said, I am not from here. I do not belong here. I am way more than what you see. But when I looked up, she'd already turned and gone. And what echoed next was that our circumstances, this was not me, this assurance that we are way more than our circumstances. I went on through my life. I can't say it was perfect. I can't say I had perfect hope from there. Definitely not. But it remained to echo in me that everyone is more than what they seem, that we are not our circumstances, and a hunger to help people change that, and an awareness that just because you're going through something does not define you. that moment changed my life. And I used to think of it for years as a horrible occurrence. And this is what I mean by sometimes the things you go through, it may even take a while for you to see the miracle.
But at 5 years old, you were listening to those divine whispers, right?
For sure.
Of someone
Sure.
telling you who you really are and what you're really about and made of. And that
Yes.
listening has served you your entire life. It's been a preparatory gift that has allowed you to serve women in other ways. That's amazing. Another observation I made, and this would tap into a different sort of gift, but I think one that speaks to preparation too, is you're an asker. Like
Yes.
you've been prepared to ask big things of people to get, these needs met and to render the service that you have. How did you come to be confident in your voice and asking for what's needed?
Ooh, good question. I think asking is a superpower for all of us. And in the scriptures, we're told, ask and it shall be given. I think I took that very literally. And also, there is super capacity when we come together. The power of we is immense. We can do anything together. And so for me, it's not about expecting someone to say yes. It comes from a place of, would you like to help create fill in blank here? So by coming from that place, now it's an invitation and not an order or an expectation, and that changes everything.
How has
So,
that changed, or has that changed what you ask of Heavenly Father?
okay, now this is hard. And we recently had one in our family that just threatened to blow me over. It was a double, triple layered, not fun week waiting for some test results. And here's what I know for sure. If you can keep going back to, the end from the beginning, you have nothing but good in store for me and every other child of yours. So please let me be strong enough to witness that. Sorry. If you can come back to that place of, this is what my vision is, and I'm excited to make it, and more excited to see what you'll make of it. Please tell me what thou has in mind, and I will listen. Please tell me how you would like this to go. And I'm willing to work all out for this vision. I'm also willing to let it go. You tell me, and it's a done deal. I'm listening.
I love that it's not just faith as an action or even faith as an idea, it's faith as an attitude, right? It's turning over that faith in how I view, see, and experience what Heavenly Father does have in store. You seem to be someone who's taking confident steps, like sure steps. You're not exactly sure what's going to happen when you ask or if you follow the promptings and listen to the promptings that come to you, but you have this assurity about you that I think does lend itself to a lend in a life of faith. How have you developed that assurant attitude?
Thank you for that, by the way. I had to survive things that look pretty impossible,
Mm.
right? And I have witnessed so many things that shouldn't have been able to happen. And I've watched the Lord unlock the doors and set the way and make it happen. So while it looks like assurance in my capacity or it's completely the Lord. I am sure He's got whatever needs to be done. And and I won't always get it right. And here's what's been important too. I have the right and the gift of failing. So when I fail, or when others fail, it's only a loss if we don't learn from it. And absolutely knowing that I can trust that the Lord will guide things, and I can trust that I'll mess it up. That's a fact. I can also trust the atonement covers all these things. And I know it to be true. And that gives you a kind of assurance that is humbling and enduring.
I know you've faced challenges, of course you have.
Mhm.
How has the Lord sustained your efforts, even in the face of those challenges, both personally and professionally, as you tried to move forward doing this great work?
Can I answer with an unexpected answer, perhaps?
Please, yes.
I would say humility. I had the experience of an illness in 2010 that took me a year to be able to sing on tune again, 3 months to be able to read at all again, because after a prolonged seizure, my brain was damaged in a way that my eyes wouldn't read together. I couldn't pronounce things well. I'd have to hold a wall to even walk without falling to the left when I blinked. It was a really challenging time. And another reminder that we are not our capacity, we're so much more than that. And on days I was ready to give up and feel like, why am I even here? And then being reminded that others have it far, far worse. And even if I just sat there and held my grandchildren or garden while sitting down, it didn't matter. It only matters how you show up.
We're more than our capacity.
Right? And so then
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
awards came for Days for Girls and I was named award winning and I knew this was not me. It was the Lord. It was others coming together. It was not me. I got to use my strengths. Yes. I get to use my aptitudes. Yes. And I miraculously got better. And the woman that could not read went on to write a number one best-selling book that has been nominated for 2 national awards. That's not me either. And that, while humbling, is also incredibly strengthening because you recognize you don't have to be the strength. In fact, you never could be enough because the Lord is. You don't have to be. And knowing that gives you the courage, capacity, and strength to go, I may not be okay today, and maybe not even tomorrow, but it will be okay. And every time you turn to that place, every time, the Lord makes it way bigger in beauty than you could even imagine.
I interviewed Today's Show anchor Savannah Guthrie recently. She published a book on faith, and she described God as kind of an artist in the canvas being way bigger than our mortal eyes can even see. And I thought of that visual as you were talking about it, like the outcome, yes, but the path itself, you even said, bigger than the problem, bigger than me. That's humbling, as you pointed out. That's humbling, but that's also comforting at the same time.
Mhm.
But there's a big plan ahead of us. I mentioned gratitude as one of your superpowers, and we've got a quick list of advice points that help you tap in that superpower of gratitude. Let me just run through these and you react and shake your pom-poms for us and give us a boost in this grateful direction. Hit snooze and stretch into gratitude. You got a little practice every morning that you do.
Absolutely, because you can use those few seconds to yearn for more, or you can say, sunshine, a new day, all these opportunities to connect. And those few minutes are powerful.
So early in the morning, take advantage of just a few minutes to set yourself up for that space of mind. You say go tiny, that we can celebrate really small things in our life, and that amounts to big doses of gratitude.
Absolutely, because you tend to think of big things in our life that we were aiming for, but when we can find even the littlest thing to be grateful for now, every moment fills with gratitude. And that's important because you're really welcoming and accepting and acknowledging the gifts that are in your life. Our memory, you know how you go into another room and you can't remember what you left for and you have to back up and do it again?
Oh, every day, 5 times a day.
So we have to build a memory. I mean, just with that little blip, when you stop enough to notice a little micro thing and
Yeah.
stop to say thank you, you built a memory that adds up to seeing and feeling gifts in your very being.
I'm going to use your words here. I'm going to quote you directly. Whoever controls the time owns the moment. You believe as women, we could do a better job of owning our time.
Absolutely. Especially for women. I believe we're pulled in so many directions and we take responsibility at so many levels, so deeply and personally, that when Christ says, come follow me, we hear the come, but that we miss the part that I may give you rest. And we are sometimes uniquely able to not notice all the contributions we're making because we see them as part of a checklist. So choosing to be able to say no and be able to say, actually, I'm saying no to this and this, so I can say more yes to this. And choosing to say, I want to spend time with you. And I'd like to do it at this time so I can give you my 100% and not a third or a tiny sliver of my attention. Those choices improve all the facets of your life.
How do you decide what to say yes to? Because I'm thinking of, the women listening have a lot of worthy opportunities to lend their talents and their time and their service energy toward. And I can't win at maybe being a mom and a wife and fulfilling my calling and serving the temple. I can't win at all of those things every day. So how do you decide what in each day gets your attention or owns your time?
And I admit that I don't think there's such a thing as balancing our lives. I think there's this beautiful thing called seasons. And if we recognize that there's seasons, I do know I was 46 when I went to finish my first degree, which was a master's degree. I was 47 when Days for Girls started. I thought my family choice was it. And yet there was so much more in store, right? It's okay to recognize the power of seasons. Also, for me, what has worked is to say, if I project this action out a year, 2 years, where does it lead? So by asking myself to see where this leads, I can sometimes recognize maybe a relationship that's a little toxic and not really feeding my day, not building. And where does this go in a year, 2 years? An action you're committed to that you're doing, and which thing is lifting you and part of your greater arc of your vision and purpose and where you want to go. Sometimes little things, back to the power of little, can get in the way of our true direction. So kind of projecting, asking yourself to be a time genius for a minute or a time machine and project forward.
You do that with gratitude too. You decide ahead of time what you're going to be grateful for, which is an interest. I've never heard it like practiced or described that way. Usually we're looking in the rearview mirror and saying, oh, I can count my blessings that happened back there. But you're projecting forward with your gratitude. Explain that a little more.
Absolutely. So gratitude ahead of time gives you the energy you might need to go after something because you can already see it. So by seeing it already happening, it also gives you steps that you can take to get there. So it's easy to go, I really would love to. I was just talking to a friend. She would love to have a little savings so she felt more comfort. But if that was just possible, and I asked this of her, I said, what if you could be grateful now that you've already got it? And she looked at me and, how would you do that? And I said, well, doing this makes your mind open up and your heart open up to, how could I do this? And then taking little action, what it does, just like having micro gratitude throughout the day, it helps you widen your lens to focus there. Having gratitude ahead of time helps you to capture and recognize opportunities that will get you there. And
Mm,
it also sets your mind at ease that you don't have to have this anxiety about it.
yeah. I want to touch on the topic of leadership, if
Mm.
we can, for a quick minute. Days for Girls has grown from you, just one woman, to be this global organization. You've got team members now that you're leading all over the world. And, acknowledging not all women will have an organization or a platform that's that far reaching, but every woman serves as a leader in some capacity, whether it be, their home as a matriarch in their family, PTA, in the business sense. I mean, there are so many different, a myriad of ways that women lead. So with that context, how did you learn to be a leader and how has the Lord helped you become the leader that you are today?
Ah, that's such a good question. Could I say our callings help with this? From the time we're like
Sure.
tiny, we're already leading and we're getting to mess up and learn to do better, right? And I also have recognized that leadership is an invitation if it's done well, that you're a servant leader, and we're taught that by being someone that, now servant leadership doesn't mean you throw yourself on the sword, which is so easy to do. Don't worry, I've got this. Because if you do
Mm,
that, if I had done that with Days for Girls, there would be approximately 5,000 Days for Girls kids that are out there serving. And by the way, they're proving to last up to, we say 2 to 3, but up to 7 years. So that'd be a lot of lives changed and touched, but not over 3 million. So by learning to let go and have the humility to say, you get to be part of the gift of this coming to life, people support what they create. So if we're the only one creating it, we'll feel good about it. But by sharing the opportunity to take part in creating something, others get to bring their gifts, their strengths, their connections, their purpose. They get to feel it, they get to engage in it, and they grow it. So by choosing to be a leader that invites others without, like if someone doesn't want to join a menstrual movement, let's be honest, it takes a special person to see how important this is. And they want to help with animals or water. Wonderful, because those matter too. Thank you for doing that. And then you go find the ones that are. I feel it's important to come from a place of delight in the future people you will get to work with. instead of anxiety over how it will happen.
Or guilt over what I think I should be doing. Come from a place of delight in your service. I love that. I mean, you say don't fall on the sword. It's an interesting principle for women to grasp onto. And I guess it's less of a grasp and more of a release, right? Of control as we offer up this invitation you described, because sometimes we think that is the service. We think the service is, oh, I'll do it. I've got it. I'll put one more rock in my backpack. That we think that is the service, but you're describing a service that opens up into even broader spheres where all women are able to use their gifts in different ways. That's a different kind of service, a different definition of the word.
It's true.
Part of Magnify's mission is to gather and empower women to be a significant force for good. What would you say, Celeste, to the woman listening who has a desire to do some good in the world, but maybe doesn't know where to begin? Maybe she feels a level of intimidation on how would I even start to make that dent?
Trust. Don't put pressure on yourself that it has to be now or it has to be a certain way. Sometimes a door that closes on you is the very door that opens to your next. But just trust and keep asking and show up in the ways that are authentic for you. Some of Days for Girls mission started with a letter that I wrote, a letter, which put me in a room where I felt like the Forrest Gump of global food supply, and then which led to other rooms and other rooms. And now I can see it, but at the time I couldn't. I was just answering the call that felt right for me, little steps that led to a great journey. It didn't start out with a big global movement. It started out with a few people, and some of them thought I was a little crazy to even ask the question. But the truth is, if you keep asking, keep showing up, pay attention, listen, and try. Just one best step at a time. It will unfold before you. Enjoy the journey because you're going somewhere.
Yeah. Amen, sister. Final question. What do you wish women in the church understood about their identity and also their purpose today?
Oh, I wish we could all see how amazing we truly are. We are so much more than we even have evidence of now. And our ability to bless each other and bless our whole world is real. If we could only see the miracles we are part of, and truthfully, we don't see them until we're well beyond the room we stood and worked and experienced and had faith to walk through.
Celeste, thank you. Thank you so much.
Before you go, we want to let you know that you are invited to be a part of our community. So first, go follow us on Instagram at Magnify Community. This is the best place for all things Magnify, and we love interacting with our community. And did you know we have a newsletter? You can subscribe now by heading to our website, magnifythegood.com, for more details. Finally, we still have 2 more Lift Up Your Heart events that we want you to join us at. Registration is still open for St. George and Salt Lake City, which are both in November. Head to the show notes of this episode for more details, and don't forget you'll get a special discount code for listeners only. All those details are in the show notes. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.